YouTube! Welcome back to my channel! I'm sick, but that's okay, because I can still talk. Today, I want to talk about finances. More like what to do when you start making a larger sum of money. Let's start with anywhere from 5 to 10,000 a month or more. What to do with your money. How to be smart with your money so that you're not peeing your money down the toilet. What are your goals for yourself? I don't know what everyone's long-term goal is. Maybe they make such a large sum that they're able to still save and put towards certain things. I can only see from the outside what people show me what they do, and then I know what I do. But there's also people that I do know that I talk to and I see how they choose to spend their money. So I have a few different outlooks. What I do see is a lot of people who make a lot of money. Oh man, I'm young, I have all this, da-da-da-da-da-da. So they get a skyrise apartment. Let's count how many creators I see with skyrise apartments, which have to be I don't know, 4,000 or more a month. I know people in California, your stuff is just up there. But I feel like if you have a choice, let's not pee it away. You know what I mean? If you want to live luxury, you can. But I would suggest to live below your means. I will say, if your money's coming from content you make, sometimes what's around you, aka where you live. I mean, there's a lot of people on TikTok that go viral just because they're in this really fancy mansion. I mean, I'm sure later on people care about their personality, but the eye-catching thing is wow, they have a lot of money. How do they make so much money? I want that much money, and then they get watched because people are just curious. So, I mean, look, let's compare. This is my third or fourth house since starting in my industry. My industry is not the only industry that makes money, though. There's a million other businesses out there. There are billionaires making more than girls who do what I do. Don't circle out and be like, well, I'm not a pretty girl. Girl, you don't have to be a pretty girl. I promise you there's people who have way more money than me that do other things. Maybe you don't know what to do with your money. I'd say the more you make, the higher up you might push your living situation. But when you start making a lot, I wouldn't just put it into the fanciest, most expensive house you can get. Let's think first thing, where to live. If you're renting, find below your means. Live below your means. The place that you're renting, it's not your forever home. You want to save up for that home, and I promise you, your mortgage is going to be cheaper than what you're renting. Rent's gone up a lot. Rent in the past few years used to be $1,000. I remember years ago, before I was even old enough to rent, I think a 4-bedroom house was $1,400. And then I remember when I first moved out, small apartment, the cheapest I could find was $1,200. It was Section 8. That was the cheapest. And then while being there, after a year, they tried to push it up to $1,500, which I did stay for that year, I believe. And then after that year, they tried to push it up to $1,600 plus. That's when I was I hate this place. It's not worth it. And I had a choice of either renting again or buying, and I chose to save my money. I talked to my realtor. What do I need to do to buy a house? In order to buy a house, you need to have 3% to put down and 3% for closing. So I can't speak for your area, but pretend the cheapest house you could find is $250,000. Then you're gonna wanna save up $17,000. That's a big chunk for regular 9 to 5. But I'm talking if you're making more money. Do not throw it away at random stuff. You can easily put aside that $17,000. Maybe it'll take you 6 months. I don't know how much you're making. It depends on what you do, how much you make, etc. Put that aside, and then you can buy a house. Instead of paying $2,000 plus in rent, you're paying $1,600 in mortgage. Interest rates are higher right now. They are, but depends where you live, honestly. Depends on who you go through. Depends on your credit. I say focus on your credit. I had my car payment go out by accident, it was automatic, and I switched cards and I forgot to put the new card on automatic, forgot to call them to make the payment and do all that, and my credit went down. I fixed it, but it took really long. Your credit matters. Focus on your credit. You got a lot of money. If you want these like nicer things, along with being like pretty frugal with your money so that you can get these bigger things, because you want to think long term. Some people don't care. If you don't care that you don't make this much money in the future, if you know that what you're doing, I don't know if it's a family business or whatever, and you know that you're gonna be a millionaire forever, this isn't for you. This is for like the people that like, maybe you're doing crypto now and you know crypto's great and you got all this money, and maybe you don't want to do this in the future. Maybe you're doing what I do, and by the time you hit like 30, you want to be done. You know what I mean? Like, not all kinds of big money that we make is forever money. And if you know that you're not making that forever money, you need to plan. The next thing, taxes. Nobody likes taxes. Some people, as much as we hate it and as much as it comes out of paychecks, you don't have to worry as much about what you owe because it automatically comes out of your check. People who get money through other ways, whether it's what I do, whether it is any other option of online money, this could even be TikTok money, the money you get off Twitter, the things that Elon pays people for, like you get views, and you know what I mean? If you're making any amount of money that they are not automatically taking taxes from, you're going to owe money. And the amount of people that I've met that like cry by tax time because they owe like $30,000, $60,000. I've owed 90,000 before. So what happens if you don't plan for that? You go on a payment plan? What's the payment plan for anything like 30,000 plus? I don't know what everyone's making, but I'm saying like you're making larger amounts. Dude, even 5,000 is a lot, depending on what you're doing, if that's what you owe, and if you don't have that put aside. Yes, there are payment plans, but let's pretend you're someone who owes the government $30,000 and you have to go on a payment plan. You gotta think, how much am I paying monthly for that? Am I still steadily gonna make the money that I made last year, the next money, to be able to pay all my bills and pay what I owe to taxes? What I do and what I suggest, wherever you live, find out the different tax brackets and the percentages that they take, and look at the amount of money that you made and what the percentage that they tax on that income is. So if it's 25%, every time you get a paycheck, take that number, put it into your calculator, times 0.25, you get a number. That number you subtract from your main bank account, either put in another bank account or put in your savings. And you're gonna keep that aside for tax time. I suggest either having a notes area where you can keep tabs on it, or if you have a separate card or just like an account only for that money, if you have a savings for yourself as well, you don't want to mix up what's like your savings and what's your tax money. You know what I mean? I suggest finding a way to separate it, but put it aside so that when taxes come and they're like, you owe this much, pay it. Also, do the quarterly payments that you're supposed to do. All right, last thing I'm gonna touch up on is savings. You want to put money in your savings account. My suggestion, every time you get paid out, have a budget for yourself, what you're gonna like use for that week. Keep that in your checking, and then whatever is outside of that number, put it in your savings account. You will be able to save quicker than you ever thought, unless it's on your business. Spend all you want on your business. That's all I have to say for this video. Again, like the last one, anything else you want to hear about, if you like this topic, if there's anything specific you want to hear from little me on this topic, you can put it in the comments, and I'll make another one in the future. Bye, YouTube.